And then last week we talked about what happens when all the hype of the holiday of Easter and all the songs and the flowers and the Easter baskets and everything else is gone. Then how do we keep that spirit alive in our hearts and have a meaningful relationship and have that continuing of spiritual energy stay alive within us? And so we talked about keeping our mind on things that are beautiful and good and true and righteous and things that uplift us, and to concentrate on those things throughout the day. When we first get up in the morning, when we go to bed at night, so that we are infusing our minds with God presence all the time. And so as we continue that conversation, I automatically went back to the book of John, which for me has always felt good and loving, and there's some kind of feeling that I get when I read the book of John. And so I went to the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary again to look up John, because again in metaphysics, and we translate the Bible metaphysically here in Unity, everything has a meaning, an underlying meaning. And so I looked up John, and it says the Apostle John represents the spiritual faculty of love. He is known as a disciple whom Jesus loved. And love is the dominant theme of all his teachings and writings. In the outpicturing of Jesus' development, John signifies the faculty of love in its masculine or positive degree of action, while the various Marys of the New Testament characterize the different subjective activities of love. And so that told me why I love John, why I love the book of John, because it is all about love. And so I went to probably one of my favorite lines of Scripture, which talks about peace. And my peace I give you, Jesus says. Not as the world gives you peace, but the peace of God. And I know as I get older, all I want is peace. I don't care what else is going on. I am looking for a way to have more peace in my life, whether it's a change in my consciousness, how I'm looking at a situation, how I'm dealing with a situation. I just want peace. And so now I'm willing to do the work, whether it's letting go of something, changing my perspective. Sometimes we just need to change what we're thinking about something, because we don't always have control over our circumstances. We don't have control over other people. And so I find myself, when I'm not in a peaceful state, I'm looking for how do I get back to peace. And often it is my attitude that needs adjustment. You know, to be honest, it's me, it's what I think, it's how I've twisted something, how I've had a gut reaction to something that makes me contract, or makes me feel pain, or separates me from somebody in my life. I don't want separation anymore. What I'm learning as I get older is that it's our connections with each other that matter. That's the stuff of life that I think gives us life. You can work as many hours as you want. You can put in the time. You can sweat and strain over things. But if we don't connect with each other, if we don't spend time with each other, if we don't make time and room for love, then I think we're losing the point of why we're here. And so just like we nurture our relationships with each other, I think we have to nurture our relationship with Spirit. Paul and I were talking about that earlier before service. that Jesus is our way shower, whether you believe he actually walked the earth or not, we can have a relationship with Jesus and with God. And so that means we spend time. And so in the book of John, God talks about and offers what this relationship is, how we are actually connected. And so this again is some of my favorite scripture. This is John chapter 15. I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh it away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he cleanseth it, and it may bear more fruit. Already you are clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, so neither can ye, except ye abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same beareth much fruit, for apart from me ye can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and they gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ask whatever you will, and it shall be done unto you. Ask whatever you will, and it will be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit, and so shall ye be my disciples. Even as the Father hath loved me, I also have loved you. Even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. These things I have spoken to you, that my joy may be in you, and that your joy may be full. Man, when I hear that, and I think that God only wants my joy to be full, it renders me speechless sometimes. And that God abides in me and with me. And so there's no way that you can be not connected to spirit and to life with a capital L, and to goodness and truth. So no matter how far we get away from who we are at our core, and we talk about that a lot, we are still connected. It runs in our veins, in who we are, literally and figuratively. And so even if we don't want a relationship with spirit, and we're not participating in this connection, God is participating in and through us all the time. The vine is connected to the branch is connected to the vine, and it bears fruit. And as we go through life and things happen, that's the pruning of the vine. You cut back things that we don't need anymore. We shed the things that are not of our core. The baggage we have that we just drag behind us all the time. Again, we've talked about this so often. The things that we tell ourselves are the reasons why we can't do something or can't be something. That we can't be love in a particular situation. Sometimes we take that baggage out and we push it in front of us. We show up with it all over us. Right? Because we think it's a reason. And we think our situations and the things that we have been through are us. They're not. We're still connected to the vine. And so the vine needs the branches, and the branches need the vine. We are the expression of God on earth. Again, we're called, I'll probably say this to you every week, we're called to be the expression of God on the earth. And as we wrestle with that, when we get up in the morning, if we're even wrestling with it, because there's sometimes I launch out of bed and I'm just on my way to doing whatever's on my schedule. And as I'm starting to tick off all the things I have to get done, I'm thinking, oh, I should have meditated. Should have had my quiet time. If I had gotten in bed earlier, gotten up earlier, I could have done it. And we do that with our relationships so many times. You know, we don't make the phone calls that we should make to people. We don't reach out. We don't extend ourselves sometimes. And so those relationships don't get nurtured. And it's the same thing with our relationship with Spirit. We got to put in the time. We got to show up. And there's really nothing to do but sit in the silence, in spirit, and remind yourself that I am it, and it is me. And I'm here another day. And maybe list the reasons why you're grateful to be alive. You know, when my mother was ill and she had had her stroke, especially the second one after she couldn't communicate anymore, and when I would watch her in those times, and my thoughts were just all over the place, my feelings were all over the place, there was a moment when I was thankful that I could even have a thought, because I didn't know if she could. That I could even sit there and assess the situation, because from what the doctors were telling me, she didn't have that capability anymore. So even the fact that you can sit there and be angry at something is a blessing, because some people can't in that moment, because something's been taken away from them. You know, it doesn't fail me sometimes when I drive past a hospital and I remember those days and hours that I spent in a hospital sitting by my mother's side. And so now when I drive past, I think about the people who are holding vigil with a loved one or a friend. And so I utter a word of thanks that that's not me today, but that there's a health professional or somebody that's taking care of that loved one for them. There's so much to be thankful for. And so returning to the vine and reminding yourself that you are a part of this great fabric of life is all we need to do to keep that relationship with Spirit alive, because it exists. But sometimes we're just not aware of it. We're just moving so fast and so hard towards everything we think is important to do. And really what's most important first on the list is what we have with Spirit. And that there is nothing without life with a capital L. You know, I think about this earth and how beautiful it is. Now we're in springtime and things are blooming and getting green, and trees are blooming. Flowers, the colors of them. You know, you think about I think about this, the human body. We've talked about this again. I keep going back to it because it's so miraculous to me. If you sit and think about the billions of things that go on inside of your body that you don't have to control or think about, that enable you to sit in this chair. Your heart's beating, you're breathing, your hair is growing or not growing. You know, the brain has all these processes that are happening, all these things that are firing all over the place that enable your eyes to blink, for you to discern color. It's a miraculous thing what we have here. That's life. That's the fruit of the vine. Let alone all the things that life allows us to do and create. The divine ideas we talked about in that daily word. All the things that come that are manifested in our lives that we get to do and watch and have. You know, when I walk through the doors of my home and I feel that feeling of sanctuary and I see my husband there, I'm thankful for that. You know, there's some days I look at him and I feel the love we have for each other and I think, oh my gosh, life is wonderful. Life is precious. Look at this little one. What a wonderful creation she is. Yeah. And her relationship with her family here. That is so precious and wonderful. So you could just sit in the quiet and think about that, how we're all connected. Just about every morning I think about all of you and what we have, what we've created here on Sunday mornings, and how good it feels to be here with each other and the experience that we have. That's a gift, that's life. There's no mistake that all of us have been brought here together to learn from each other, to enjoy each other, to love each other. It's all in the divine plan. And so I think all of it's worthy of celebration every single day. Acknowledge the vine and the branches, that you are an intrinsic part of life. Life with a capital L. And I think that's the key to keeping the resurrection and Easter and all the feeling around that alive. Let's not forget about that. And week after week, day after day, year after year, as the years whisk by, that we celebrate this. And just abide in spirit. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, an hour. There's that saying that if you don't have time to meditate, that you meditate for an hour. And you think, gosh, if I don't have time to meditate, how am I going to sit and meditate for an hour? And I tried it. And you know what? The day doesn't feel so busy. Because you're so connected to spirit, you're so grounded after the hour, that even though your day may not have changed from how it was previously scheduled, you're oblivious to whatever chaos might have existed if you had not meditated. And I kept wondering, how does this make sense? That I just spent an hour in silence, an hour I thought I didn't have to spend, and now the same amount of scheduling and appointments now doesn't feel chaotic or stressful. It's the gift of life. That's what happens when we abide with Spirit, as Spirit abides with us. You know, that centering that we get, that groundedness, and it's just like water flowing off of a duck's back. You see the chaos, but you don't become a part of it. We talked about before being the eye of the storm, that quiet center, and everything swirling around you. And you can see all the people and stuff floating around in the chaos, and you can just watch it and let it go by and enjoy your day. But we have to have the relationship. We got to nurture that relationship. It's there waiting for us in every single second. Every second. Because we can do nothing without it. We are nothing without it. So my prayer for you today is that you will dive in and be a part of this. Embrace it. Enjoy it. Let it surround you. Feel it from head to toe. Step out into your world every single day as the light that you are. As the light that you are. Capital L light.